This is Common Courtesy with Sean Nicholas.
Sneaking the fucking, I'll be like.
But I'm like such a.
Nikki Prue.
You own this company essentially, say. Let's just call it like a bread making company. And you have like people on the line.
Courtney Harbaugh.
Tell me that this, like, you just didn't know. Fucking lies. That's all fucking lies.
Angelique Young.
Hopeless romantic, so I kind of like that whole misogynistic bullshit. I think it's a term fun. I like that.
And Stephen Gilbreth.
I've got a wall literally in my bedroom right now with like $500 worth of sex toys just hanging from it. I just bought $100.
This is Common Courtesy. Let's start the conversation.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. This is Common Courtesy. I'm your host and moderator, Sean Nicholas, aka Desire Some More. And along with me, we have Nikki Prue, right to the left of me, I believe. Under her, we have Courtney Harbaugh. And next to her and under me, we have our special guest co-host, Robert Blackmon, City Councilman for District 1. How are you?
Happy to be here again. Thank you for having me back, guys. Always a pleasure.
Thank you for being here with us. There's a lot of things. All right, guys. Sorry, I'm going a little fast. A lot of things have been happening in the world, and we had a great weekend. This weekend, we went to go see I'm terrible at hosting a show. Let me start over real fast. So I just want to kind of mention, Steven is out until next week. Angelique has school, but she's starting a watch party for us. So she's going to be watching and viewing the show with us. Really fast, me and Courtney got a chance to go visit our sister at her show at Lala's in Tampa. And here's a couple little photos of us, having a good little time, And I just wanted to share this video because this girl is talented. Angelique Young is super, super talented. Let me just get this video up for her. That is our girl giving us a show.
She's amazing.
Oh yeah, that's like just like the tip of the iceberg there. She's a little talented.
Yeah, she's got some moves. Like, I had a really great time at that show. Courtney, how did you react? Like, what was that for you? What was that like for you?
No, it was really, really good. Like, I worked at Lala's for like a second. So it was like, I thought it was gonna be like really awkward for me going back in there, but actually like everybody was so nice. The owners are absolutely amazing. Hands down, some like the best people that I worked for, even though it was just for a minute, just life happened and I couldn't keep the job. But I moved on and went to school, which is totally fine. But I mean, they love Angelique. She was one of the original people there when they started doing this, and they love it. And they were not aware that they had such an LGBTQ community over there. And so they're like, this is really working out for us. And we love having like the family time, and then also like not so family events. They really liked it, and I think it's amazing. That was the first time seeing Angelique perform, and she's really good.
Same. Like, honestly, like she turned the show out. Like, and honestly, every drag queen has different talents, and some of them are comedic, some of them are dance queen, and Angelique is a little bit of both, and acrobatics as well. Like, I can't touch that. Like, I can lip sync, I can do a little cartwheel, make it look like something, but she's got me there.
Yeah.
But no, hopefully, I'm glad that this is happening right now because, with COVID-19 and everyone not working, she has an opportunity and we have opportunity to, really like show support and have a good time, because these businesses need money, they need the people to come in. All right, so let's move on then. No one said anything. So let's move on. So there's been a lot of things happening in the world lately. We already seen what happened in Kenosha. It happened last week. All this stuff happened literally right before we started the show last week. So I wanted to talk about it, but there was so much information. that we didn't have at the current moment. Now, first, the protests in Kenosha started out with the shooting of Jacob Black, this young man here. Apparently, he was at a domestic dispute at his home, and as the police tried to arrest him, he was walking away. They shot him as he was reaching into his car. So after this, there was a viral video that went live. I mean, excuse me, there was a video that went viral, and everyone came out in support of Black Lives Matter and trying to get justice for him. But also, what inevitably happens in every like a cop, if it's a white cop and a black man, seems like be a racial issue. There's going to be some type of a protest, and there were riots as well. So I think a couple of days later, people from a militia group from that city, I can't remember the name, but they were trying to protect the city. So this is one of the militia people. This is Kyle Rittenhouse. We all know who he is. He was this man who basically traveled from Illinois to Wisconsin to help protect a friend's mechanic shop. But in the incident, he ended up shooting 2 people and injured 1, and now he's up for charges of he has 2 homicide charges, whatever not. And there's a big debate on whether it's self-defense or not. But I just kind of wanted to show this video that I found online because it kind of shows the complete events of that incident here.
The orders you hear about yelling no cameras, them is white boys. Yeah, that's Antifa, man. Well, you got a gun, baby.
So this video went viral, and there's a lot of controversy going on. Apparently, we're saying, was this self-defense? We're not, and I don't know. I don't know what to believe. I just kind of want to go to the panel to see what everyone is thinking. And in both of those senses, like with Jacob Black and Kyle Rittenhouse. Let's go to Nikki. Nikki, how are you reacting? Because those are some very, very graphic images, and I apologize to the audience for not warning you guys. But Nikki, how did you react?
I mean, obviously it's a horrifying thing to see. It's scary. It just seemed, it was reckless, and I'm amazed that more people weren't killed than were. I know there's a lot of people who are really angry. A lot of people have a lot of rage right now about a lot of things, which is justified. But it's getting to a scary boiling point when we have something like this happening. And it's trying to be justified in some sense. I mean, I have no problem. I'm all for protests, and when things get violent, people need to step in. But this person, that wasn't his job to do any of what he did, and I believe that innocent people who were just bystanders died because of it, and that's not right. It's just a really dark situation.
It is. Robert, let's go to you. I want to kind of get how are you reacting to this? Because we've seen, you're from St. Petersburg and I'm from St. Petersburg, around the same age. We've seen riots and we've seen, officer involved shootings in our own city. How are you reacting to all this?
Well, first on the note of St. Petersburg, I think that we are honestly blessed here in our city with a great police chief, a great police force. All the officers that we have been doing the right things, and that's why you haven't seen, larger issues like in protests, like we've seen in other areas. All the protests here have stayed, largely peaceful because of, I think, the diversity of our officers. We have had a lot of the programs already in place. The 8 Can't Wait, all of those measures we already had in St. Petersburg. And I do always want to take any opportunity I can to applaud our officers and our force, because we really are doing things the right way and leading here, which is, why it was so disconcerting and scary early on, as we were wondering how things were going to play out from other areas, because there weren't our problems. But of course, there's always room for improvement, even if you think you're doing a good job. And we have made a lot of changes, like we're doing the community assistance liaison program, where we're going to start having social workers respond to different calls. So we have made a lot of changes already in St. Petersburg, even though I think we're doing a good job to begin with. On this specific note, though, with the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, I think, though, you have to look at the fact that, there's still a lot of facts out there. The good thing is, with the advent of technology, there's lots and lots of video. You just showed one video. There's lots of video evidence. I have the utmost faith that, due to increased scrutiny and demands, the police and will get it right on what, the causation was and the justification. But you have to also look at, he did cross state lines. He did bring a gun to what he knew was protests. And if you're concerned about people protesting and you think that what they're doing is wrong, why put yourself in that way? Because, public sentiment is the ultimate judge, right? So he basically, whatever his belief was, he lost all of his credibility and his way of getting his voice out by going and killing people and shooting people. And there was no need for him to be there in the first place. So he did cross state lines. I'm also interested to see how his age plays into this, because he's 17. But
Yeah,
I think this also goes to show why it is good that the public is more equipped than ever with camera phones and videos. But also it goes to show why people have been demanding body cameras from police officers, increased dash cam footage, because accountability is everything. And we need to make sure people are breaking the rules, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. People need to be held accountable for what they do and their actions.
right. And I just kind of want to get your how you felt about what happened with Jacob Black and that whole thing, because I'm sure you saw that video. How did you react to that?
Yeah, I mean, when somebody's getting shot that many times, it's never a good thing. And again, I'm glad we have video of these incidents, because at the end of the day, you cannot just rely on people's words anymore. And there are, widespread, and I think widely heard, demands for accountability. The good news is, when there are bad actions and bad actors, people are so much more hypersensitive to things now than even we were a year ago, that people are watching out and people are getting weeded out. I mean, people are being brought to justice who maybe would have gotten away with things in the past. So I think we've moved the needle and the dialogue to a place where, when things are done wrong, people are going to demand justice. And I think it's a good thing.
And Nikki, I forgot to ask you, because we were talking earlier about Jacob Black. How did you feel about that shooting?
Well, yeah, no, I know. And I just realized I skimmed over your 2-part question. So I'm sorry about that. I realized it halfway through. I'm like, I'm sorry. That was, like I said earlier, there in no point is it okay to me. Am I coming in okay?
You're fine.
Okay, sorry, I was just making sure. To me, like, at no point, unless somebody is actively shooting at you and you're a law officer who's trained to deal with and expecting to deal with such, to shoot someone that many times, I don't understand it. I feel like it was unnecessary on all counts, but it just seems like a slap in the face to everything that's going on to have something like this happen. It's kind of like unbelievable to me.
All right, Courtney, let's go to you. Courtney, how did you react with, let me reiterate. First, let's go to Jacob Black, and then how'd you react to? I mean Blake, excuse me. And how'd you react to Kyle Rittenhouse?
So the Jacob Blake situation was very cut and dry for me in the beginning. And then there's been a few more reports that have come out, and I am curious to see if they will release the 911 call that brought the police there, because what has been said is that, and while I'm just repeating what I read and what I heard, was that he was at a previous victim's house who he was charged for sexual assault. And the 911 call came from her again, that he was there when he wasn't supposed to, and he had just sexually assaulted her again. And so that right there, like, that really rubs me the wrong way. Do I think he should have been shot 7 times in the back? No, I don't. I am not going to condone that. I feel like the situation is not as black and white as that it initially was. And I am curious to see how that does play out, because he's not dead. So he's gonna talk. At least I hope he does. And I hope they do release the 911 calls to see if that is true or not. I don't know. I mean, he wasn't complying with the officers, and I feel like they could have handled the situation better. But I mean, if you were just raping somebody, then I mean, 7 shots to the back and paralyzed is honestly the easiest punishment that you could probably have, if that's true. If that's true. Moving on to the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, we've talked about it. If he wanted to go there and he wanted to cause like mass destruction and mass harm, he absolutely could have. Absolutely could have. I commend him for being 17 years old and having like such awareness and such control of the weapon that he had, and that was the least amount of damage that he did. Like, it could have been way worse. And I was actually really surprised to hear that the New York Times did a huge investigation on this. Like, I commend them for that, because what they did come up with was that he was being shot at before the video that you played. Right before that, he was getting shot at. Didn't know where. He was running through there. They were saying that he wasn't supposed to be in this car lot or whatever. It was actually a different car lot that the police had pushed everybody out of, and he was getting shot at, and that's why he was running. The person that was shot the first time, the person that was shot in the head that died in that car lot, he was on video, other videos that were released. He was instigating people, using the N-word, telling them to shoot him, just like antagonizing everybody. And I cannot attest to why he said that or why he was doing that. He wasn't there peacefully at all. And then if it was him shooting or who it was, all these people were seen together. The people that were shot, they were all seen together in other videos. And then he was running. After the guy was shot, he doubled back around, checked on him, called the police as one other person was wrapping a shirt around his head. Kyle Rittenhouse called the police and then started running towards the police to go and get them. And as he was doing that, he was attacked multiple times. One of the persons, I can't remember which one died and which one was hit in the arm.
The one with the skateboard.
The one with the skateboard was the one that died?
Yeah, he was the one that died because he shot him in the chest. And the one that was shot in the arm was the one backing up.
He was the one that was backing up at the end. He survived that one.
Yeah.
But the guy that hit him in the head, he hit him in the head hard with the skateboard and then tried to grab his gun and then grabbed it by the muzzle. And yes, he shot him. And then the other guy, he backed away for a minute and then he pulled his pistol again and Kyle shot him in the arm. And my one thing is like, okay, yes, this is a bigger situation. What's going on with Kyle Rittenhouse? The guy that had the pistol is a convicted felon and shouldn't have had a gun, but why is he released also? Like, you do wrong. If you're going to hold everybody accountable, fucking hold everybody accountable. Why is that guy walking free when he was there instigating having a gun at one of these not peaceful protests? Like, he's not going to catch a gun charge. Like, that's not right. And Kyle Rittenhouse did not go there with a gun. He went there and was given a gun from people that he knew, I guess. I don't know where the whole gun came from. that's just
But
another
that's
thing that I was.
I'm gonna jump in. Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah, he was given the gun by somebody else. But so are you saying that he acted in like self-defense or anything like that? Or I just don't. Let me just jump in because my thing is, when we were first talking about Jacob Black, our law doesn't work like that. I didn't hear that the 911 call that I heard was he was not supposed to be in there, and we're not even sure if that was the sexual assault charge that was whatever whatnot. But
This would have been a number 2. The first one happened before this. Before
that has not come out. Like I don't know where that came from. All I knew that because it's kind of weird because like
it's just something that I read today.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't know if it's true or not. I mean, Christ's sake, if he was in there and he had kids in the car and he had just got done raping somebody.
I mean, that doesn't.
I could say horrible things.
I just
want
to jump in because like there's a lot of like different things coming out, but that part doesn't make sense. One thing I do agree with everyone that the police could have handled that a lot better because there were 3 officers. Everyone had a taser, and like honestly, tasers are used so you're not shooting people before you draw your gun. And there's a struggle outside of the car. I understand that, and they also said that he had a knife in his possession, but he didn't. Someone who has a knife and they would pull it or whatever, he didn't stab anybody. I'm just not sure. We all agree that he should not have been shot like 7 fucking times because that was insane. Like I have never seen someone pull a trigger on someone. Just like I felt like he was in like one of those PlayStation games, like pow pow pow. Also as well, so that's how I feel about that one. I don't know. I don't really trust the situation because we know looking back in the past that police they plant evidence and there's always something, even that video, I didn't really see a knife. I saw someone release a picture that was a close up, but they didn't look a knife to me. But
it could have been, it could have not have been.
I mean, I just kind of want to, but even if that's the case, that's a justification of shooting him. I kind of want to play this from the UK. It isn't because look at the UK police. This guy had a machete.
From the UK, an amazing video for edged weapon training. London police engage with a distraught man wielding not scissors or a knife, but a machete.
So yes, at the same time, the United Kingdom does not have.
Wait, how'd that end though?
Well, they subdued him. He was not shot. He was not shot, and he had a machete, and they subdued him. They took him to a mental hospital. He was arrested. But I mean, that's just a way that you can deal with someone if he did have a knife. I'm always hearing this in America. Oh, he had a knife, he had a weapon, and then we're killing people. I just want to kind of show that in other countries, that's how they deal with it because America does have a serious gun culture. And even as we move to like Kyle Rittenhouse, here's how I feel. I don't think you should be going across state lines to defend other people's property. Like that doesn't make sense to me because if you look back at Charlottesville, a lot of the counter protesters came from different states and all across the country to go protest in Charlottesville about the whole statue that had nothing to do with anything. It was just about their principles and what they believed in. And a lot of those people were white supremacists. Am I saying that Kyle Rittenhouse isn't? I mean, is? No. But I am saying that it kind of follows a pattern, what I'm seeing, even if he got the gun from someone else. And honestly, he also said that he was there to render medical aid in case anyone needed it. Well, there were several people who needed medical aid from him. And just to hit back on the claim that you said that there was shooting happening, someone was shooting at him. I can play the video again further back. There was no shooting. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear any shooting right before that started, whatnot. But one of my biggest answers is, why is a 17-year-old boy at this, what is his mother thinking, driving him to this protest, knowing it has been violent and knowing you're against, the rioting that's going to happen inevitably. I'm just confused as to why his mother thought it was okay to drive him over there. And also there was a claim that he was running to the police. Well, that's funny because I can play this little clip right here because we'll see him.
Alleged gunman Kyle Rittenhouse walking away, gun in tow, as people scream that he just shot protesters. One law enforcement officer seeming to ask Rittenhouse if anyone was hurt.
Someone injured straight ahead?
2 incidents, 2 videos, with some asking why, 2 different responses.
I mean, at no point, and even after that, he walks away. He backs up from the patrol car, and they arrested him in his hometown in Illinois. So to say that he was going to go tell the police or not, that's not true. The police report that came out, the affidavit, the complaint, he called a friend to tell him that he shot somebody, and that was confirmed because the police talked to that friend. So, I mean, I can't say this kid was there for like really good reasons, because if you're gonna go to something like that, you're there to shoot people. You want something to happen. That's how I feel. Like, you want it to happen. I mean, I just don't understand why that was allowed. And I think it was not self-defense. It wasn't. Anybody want to rebuttal to that?
Well, so I've got like just like a couple points. Is that you were saying that like people coming in when it's not like it ain't none of their business, right? So why are they busing in people to protest in other towns, in other cities where this is happening? Because
I think police brutality isn't just it's a countrywide issue.
They're busing people in. They bust and it's like 3 fucking buses full of people into my hometown in a little itty bitty part of Montana. There was like 3 fucking buses that they saw of people coming in that weren't from that town. My town's small. Like, it's not like St. Pete where you walk and you're like, I don't fucking know that person. Everybody knows who everybody is over there. And everybody was carrying full kit. They were in full battle rattle over there, but nothing happened. Everybody was carrying. They didn't go there to shoot somebody. They went there to protect themselves and to make a presence. So I understand part of that, because if I were to ever go to any of these, which I won't, I have no fucking desire to, I would be packing. I absolutely would be packing. And I'm not going there to shoot somebody. I don't want to. If somebody comes into my house and breaks into my house, I would not be the first person shooting. I don't want to, but I do want to protect myself. And I have guns, and I will protect myself at all costs. If you come in shooting, or you're like actively like trying to harm myself or someone in my family, yeah, I'm probably going to fucking shoot you. But if you're not, and you're just coming to try to steal my fucking TV, I'm going to point my gun in your face and like subdue you and then call the cops. I don't want to shoot you, but I want to protect myself. And I don't think that there should be a stigma behind everybody that if they're carrying a gun, even if it is in one of these places, that they're there to kill somebody. There's plenty of soldiers who signed up to be in war, basically kill people.
But those are soldiers.
And they go over
but those are soldiers. Those are soldiers with. Sorry, I don't mean to. Those are soldiers with training, and they are going to war, not
and
a
they
protest.
still shoot themselves in the foot.
Oh yeah, but
Can I hop in here for a second? There is a difference, though, between, and I agree with everybody's right to defend and protect themselves. In court, you certainly have the right if somebody enters your home and is attempting to rob you or harm you. But this was him entering another state. So he's showing up to a place. Already he has a gun that's not licensed in his name. I don't think he had any I don't think he was licensed to have that gun. And he ended up killing people. And whether or not that ultimately ends up being justified when they review all the evidence, he still shouldn't have put himself in that situation. I don't think you ever should put yourself in harm's way, because, again, it's like if you're in a shouting match, you shout the loudest, you don't always get your point across. And if he really disagreed with everybody's protests and what they were doing, you've overshadowed all of that by killing people. So even if people were destroying property, no amount of property destruction is ever worth a life. And again, I'm not even saying whether or not he was justified in that moment, but he put himself, he did a lot of stupid things. He had a gun he shouldn't have had. He went into harm's way. I think he was itching for a battle. This is a 17-year-old. And regardless, this is where we are now. So I just think you always want to use the golden rule and use compassion and not try and escalate something, which, you're asking for an escalation when you bring a big gun to another state, when there's already, unrest and tensions are high.
So I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I'm just going to play devil's advocate real quick. In saying that, and again, I'm not disagreeing with you because I think you do have a very valid point. On the same sense, though, what about the people who were there, who had guns, who knew this was going to be this kind of situation, and the motherfucker had a gun and pointed at somebody who had already shot somebody? Like, you're putting yourself in harm's way, or you're putting yourself into these. He had already shot somebody, and you're going to go and attack him. Like, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Like, why would this?
Well, it looked like they weren't attacking him. They were trying
bring a gun if he doesn't want to shoot somebody, and then he ends up getting shot, and then he walks off scot-free when he was a felon with a gun who wasn't supposed to be there in any part of the States with a gun, wasn't supposed to have one at all, but he's just going to walk away scot-free. Like,
what you're describing, if is also very wrong. And I think, like I said, everybody needs to be held universally accountable. I think that's part of the biggest point that's being made with the whole Black Lives Matter movement, is that black, white, felon, everybody needs to be treated equally, and everybody needs to be held accountable for their actions, because no longer can people get by just based on color, status, wealth. And I think that's good. We need to equal the playing field when it comes to the justice system.
And I feel like it should be equal playing fields there. And I think it's kind of one-sided here.
Nikki, did you want to respond?
No, I mean, I don't want to keep getting into it.
Right.
I get what Courtney, I get the point that you're making. The difference is he shot and killed people, and it wasn't his place. It wasn't his job. He was a 17-year-old child, to be honest. He shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have been there with a gun, and he shouldn't have taken it upon himself. That's just my opinion. I think he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, really. I mean,
yeah, it's a shitty situation. I mean, I just don't, like I said, I think this whole issue with police brutality and everything like that and being treated equal, that's been going on in this country for a very, very long time. And just to your point, we're going to move on in just a minute. I mean, that if that dude was a felon, he had a gun, I'm sure he's facing some type of legal shit, because that is it's not the biggest story in the media right now, but I'm sure something's happening to him. But just like I said, I don't understand. He said he also he has medical training. He was going to give aid. He didn't. And he also, if he was this innocent, why didn't you just turn yourself in? He didn't call the police. But anyways, I hope we get more information on this, and I hope this whole thing clears up very soon so we can kind of move on, because we have the election coming up soon anyways. But let's move on to our next topic, because we just saw the CDC put out a report that 94% of COVID deaths also had pre-existing conditions, contributing factors. I fucked that up. I'll fix it. Some people had diabetes, some people have asthma and things like that. And there's an argument saying that we shouldn't have shut down the whole country because of that. So I just want to go to the panel again. How are we feeling about the reports in that and what the country did in our decisions? I'll go to Robert Blackmon first.
Thanks a lot. So when it comes to the new report saying that, only 6% of the people who are dying of COVID didn't have pre-existing conditions, a lot of things that go through my mind. First of all, regardless if they had pre-existing conditions or not, 100% of the people died of COVID, right? So COVID is what cost them their life. And again, who knows how much longer they would have lived. I understand there was exacerbating elements that may have hastened it, but they died of COVID. So we need to understand that it still is very deadly and dangerous. I think, though, that also brings up a number of other things that we need to understand about our society and about can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
About our society and about the illness in general. So the first thing that makes me think of is, if there's pre-existing health conditions, we do need to be taking people more account for our own health in general. We also need to be looking out for others and keeping our friends accountable. Michelle Obama was really big on fitness. We just need to make sure that we focus more on our diets, our health, exercise. There's always things that we can do to improve our health. And, we as Americans are getting less and less healthy. So we do need to take account for that all the time. The other thing, though, that I want to kind of segue onto is our percentage positives in our area are down to like less than 3% a day now of positive tests. We are doing an incredible job in our area, and that's based on predominantly people finally taking seriously the different mandates. So people are wearing masks, people are distancing, and people are really trying to keep, sanitation. It's still very hard to get disinfectants in the grocery store. I was trying to get some hydrogen peroxide yesterday, and Publix was sold out. But really, people are taking their own account for their health and safety, which is a good thing in our area. And I think we can look forward to, even if people are dying, what I'm getting at is, even though the virus, there's no cure, we can look forward to, more of a quote return to normalcy if people just take accountability for their own health and for the safety of others with masks, hygiene, distancing, and we can have businesses reopen and some measure of economic and social recovery.
Court, let's go to you.
I agree with what Robert said. I think that I saw this coming. I saw this coming from a mile away. I think that I knew that their reports were inflated. I mean, none of it really made all that much sense to me. Is the virus real? Absolutely. Is it serious? Yes. I mean, anything can be serious if you've got shit going on in your body. It can be very serious. And I mean, we struggle with this. We've struggled with it since the beginning of time. Is that if somebody's got issues, if they've got cancer, they've got lung issues or heart issues or anything like that, like, I mean, it really, really sucks that you have to take all these extra precautions. But I think like the biggest takeaway that we can get from this is like dead ass, wash your ass. Like, wash your hands. Like the amount, like the studies that came out that people were just like, oh, let's see if there's COVID on this or there's COVID on that. There's COVID on this. Turns out like all these things all up and just not thinking about, there's poop particles on all of this stuff. And I'm like, I'm not getting hepatitis from your dirty asses not washing your hands. Like, it's so gross. Like gas station pumps. It's so nasty. Like,
I'm going to jump in real fast because you also said it was political. Do you still think that as well, or?
Oh, absolutely. I think it was political. And for me, I think that it was exaggerated as much as it was, is because what's the easiest way to control somebody? Fear. Somebody says that, oh my God, if you do not do what we say, you're going to die. I mean, like, let's be honest. I tell my kids that all the time. Like, you can't go into the street because if you do, you're going to die. Don't do it. You cannot touch this and do this because if you do, you're going to die. And when they get older, I mean, they'll realize that they're not actually going to die. I mean, they might die from going in the street, but I mean, that's the quickest way to control somebody is through fear. But it's also like, it's easy because if I don't have to explain to my kids every single logic behind not going into the street, and I just leave it with, you're going to die if you do that, because it's a possibility. It's an absolute possibility that you could die from it. And yes, you can die from it. And I just think that the numbers were inflated and they just said that like, oh, this was a COVID death because they had COVID, but in all reality, they died from complications from their sickness and tested positive. And maybe they did die from COVID, maybe they didn't, but like, it's like, how were they gonna, like, some of these things, like, how do you know? Like, there was things that came out where a guy died from a gunshot wound to the head, like dead ass. That's what it was. He died from a gunshot wound to the head, but he tested positive. So they labeled it a COVID death. He didn't die from COVID. He had it, but he died from being shot in the head because he killed himself. Like, those sort of things, that's where I'm like, I'm just not going to trust it. Like, I don't trust it. Will I take precautions? Yes. Am I going to throw a fit and be a total fucking Karen in Costco because I have to wear a mask? No. I'm not going to lie. Like, I don't like it. I keep getting like breakouts right here. And I'm supposed to have good skin, and I don't right now. And it sucks, but
all right,
I do it.
I got you. So let's go to Nikki. Nikki, what are you thinking about this? Do you think it's also political, just like she just said, or?
I feel like there was reasons behind the inflation of the numbers, which, I mean, we all saw little snippets of. What really got me was people scheduling tests and not showing up for one reason or another, and then a few days later getting a positive result in the mail or a phone call or whatever. That was strange to me, and it just seemed even stranger that the numbers would keep going up and up and up. Granted, we did wait a while to close everything down, and I know that whole situation was kind of weird, but I can't lie. I do feel that things were inflated for a reason. I feel that, again, not that it doesn't exist, not that it cannot be potentially deadly. All those are true as far as I know. I believe that. I don't think that the whole virus was a hoax or anything like that. But I kind of agree with Courtney in that, yes, I think the numbers were fudged, and you don't really, things like that can happen for no reason, in my opinion. And I do, if that's what happened, then what else could it be other than some form of control? And I'm not being like, tin hat, like control worry, but it's just one of those things where it's like, why? I mean, most things do not happen without a reason behind them, whether or not we know what that reason is. If we ever will, who knows? But I feel that on paper things were increased to increase some kind of fear. I don't know why, but that's just kind of how I feel on some level.
Rob,
but on some level.
Can I hop back for a second? So I think everything you guys are saying is right? So I think that there has been a lot of fear mongering regarding the virus, but the reason is it's been for two different reasons, and that's because we're in an election year. We're in a presidential election year. So I just don't like that Republicans have been going very anti safety measures, and Democrats have been pushing for the more extreme ones. At the end of the day, I think the common sense stuff, mask, washing hands, we all can agree on that. But the fear mongering has been, people are pushing for the government's trying to take your rights or you're going to die. And I don't think any of fear mongering is in the best interest of public health. Back to what we were saying, though, about the testing. You guys are absolutely right. The testing results that were coming out were flawed. Some were taking too long, and that is completely unacceptable. I don't know if you guys heard the story today about Quest Diagnostics and how the state of Florida cut ties with them because they withheld like 5 months of, in some cases, of tests, which is a disaster. And that's the kind of, again, it comes down to accountability. Thank goodness stuff like this is coming out and it's getting taken care of, because it's unacceptable for there to be profiteering and negligence when it comes to public health, especially in a pandemic. But when we go back to, again, the 94% of people who have the pre-existing conditions, first of all, I think a lot of people have some type of pre-existing condition. Now, is that why you died? I don't know. But if you look at somebody, even a previous surgery could be a pre-existing condition. And another way to put it more black and white is Herman Cain died, a month ago from COVID. Herman Cain had beaten cancer. He had a weakened immune system, but he had beaten cancer. And then he died because his immune system was compromised and he exposed himself to COVID by going around without a mask at a bunch of rallies. Herman Cain would not have died if it hadn't been for him not wearing a mask and breaking the rules. And now we don't have Herman Cain. So, and I was very upset about that because I think Herman Cain was a great, smart individual who really cared about our country and had a lot of great ideas. I just think that that's another example of this being made political, where he was posting selfies on Twitter saying, hey, we're here, no masks, at the rally, and then he died. So I think people really need to take accountability for their own actions. And again, even if he had a pre-existing condition, Herman Cain would be here today if he'd been wearing masks and taking distancing guidelines.
And I agree with that last part, because honestly, I have asthma, and we can die of anything, but I think the one thing is nobody wants to die. I don't think that anything was inflated. I mean, with science and health and with a novel virus, there are going to be like mistakes, and there are going to be like, things that we don't know yet about this virus. But I don't think that for me, I've been out in the world and I've seen people fight the wearing a mask. They complain about having it, and some people downright don't even fucking do it. They don't even. I was at a bar and grill the other day having lunch, and these people are just walking around without it. And I get it. When you're young, you do have a stronger immune system, but I think the one big thing is that we have to, like what Robert said earlier, we have to take care of our fellow men, because it's not about me getting sick and dying. Because I might not, even with asthma, I could probably beat it if I ever got COVID or was exposed to it. But I also live with my grandmother as well, and I don't want to bring that to her. And the fact that, some people are talking about swine flu. Why didn't they shut down the country for swine flu? Well, I was reading earlier that swine flu was literally a different strand from the flu, but the COVID-19 is a totally new thing in us human beings. So I just don't understand why people are reacting like this. It's very reminiscent of the AIDS pandemic, how no one really gave a shit, and people, because when you die of AIDS, you die of AIDS related illnesses. It's mostly because your immune system is compromised, just like Robert said. You die, you catch pneumonia, and you're dead. And that's what the thing was scaring people with COVID. But some people did die of it. But I remember reading the story about Nick Cordell, the Broadway actor. He was in a coma. They had to cut his leg off. This is a respiratory disease. So, I mean, I think this thing is very serious, and we should be careful because other countries, they reacted way faster than we did. But since our country is so divided, and we're right, we are in an election year, our president really didn't. He called it another Democratic hoax, and now look at the country. All these deaths. I think they could have been prevented it if everybody acted seriously. That's how I feel. Anybody want to respond before we move on?
Mm-mm.
No. All right.
Wait, let me say one thing, and I just want to throw this out there again. It's all about control, but if wearing a mask and limiting occupancy, because I don't want to be having anybody breathe on me all the time anyway, be it a pandemic or not, if wearing a mask can have us reopen, and whether or not you think it even helps, it's such a minor thing that why don't we all just pitch in and we can come back to the great economy we were enjoying and social normalcy. I mean, today we reopened nursing homes because for visitation, because we've been doing a good job getting our numbers down. As long as we just continue to try and take personal accountability, we can return to the normalcy we're all craving.
But so to what end though? Is this the rest of our lives? We're just gonna be wearing masks everywhere?
We're wearing masks until we get a vaccine that we can control this disease. Look at how far we've come with HIV. We now have medicine that we have PrEP. So no, it's not going to be for the rest of our lives. Absolutely not. Once there's a way to combat this disease, then it's not going to be a big thing. But that's the serious issue. We don't have a way to combat it. I mean, I just don't want to get sick, and now we're hearing that children are getting it, and they're passing each other. Several schools have opened, and they're closing down because people are testing positive, so absolutely not. It's not for the rest of your life, but for a couple of months to wear a mask to make sure I'm safe and my family's safe, I don't think that's too much to ask.
So do you think everybody should have to have a vaccine?
That's your choice. So, because swine flu, I didn't get a vaccine for swine flu, but there was one available.
Yeah. So those people who just refuse to get vaccines, it's just now it's everybody's choice. Same with the masks though, right?
Well, there's a vaccine.
People
Go ahead, Robert.
Necessarily get infected. Right now, nobody has a choice to get a vaccine. Once we have vaccines available, readily available and widespread available, if I want to get a vaccine, I can. And if you don't, you can go get infected yourself. But once they're available, everybody should have the option. It's like a flu shot. And by the way, if they can combine them, I assume that less people will be infected with the flu because more people will be trying to get them both at the same time, which could be a happy side effect of this whole pandemic, as people hopefully will start getting flu shots again more widespread than they have been. But yeah, once you have the availability to get a shot, if you want to, a vaccine, then no, nobody needs to mandate it. You can have the availability to not get one and get sick if you want to risk it.
Because if you get sick, there's probably a way that you can survive it. But Nikki, did you want to say something too? I thought you were no. Courtney?
No, I'm good.
Okay, let's move on to our final topic of the night before we got 10 minutes. All right. So I was reading Dear Abby earlier, and you know how I love reading Dear Abby and advice columns because I need some advice on dating later. We'll talk after the show, guys. But I was reading Dear Abby earlier, and an advice seeker wrote in to Dear Abby asking, he was talking about an old friend of his that he had. He led on to say that this friend was, violent when he was drunk. He was an alcoholic. He was a serial woman abuser. But he also said he was in the army as well and a troubled childhood that was contributing factors to this. He has since cut off all communication with this person. But now he's asking Dear Abby and us, should he reach out to this friend to make sure he's okay? Albeit the advice seeker does have a family and, a family and kids, whatnot. But should he go and see if he can help his friend? Let's go to Nikki.
I don't remember if they mentioned it or not in the question, but how long has it been since they've seen each other?
I'm going to say like 5 years or more.
Okay. That's what I was thinking. Okay, when you first told me about it, right before I read the whole thing, I was like, well, yeah, of course. Everybody does deserve help and everybody deserves a friend. And, we owe it to our fellow man to help them out. But then, I read more about this person. And I'm not saying that, I feel like he should be abandoned. But it sounds like this guy could have been a potential, really negative influence on his life. And this is back, I'm assuming, before this guy had a family and a homestead to attend to. So I just feel like, one, why all of a sudden is he just thinking about rekindling his friendship with this person who was obviously kind of destructive in the past? But two, I don't know if it's entirely healthy. If this guy approached him, if he really needed something, maybe he could do something to help him get back out there. But it sounds like the kind of friend who's going to just drag you down to a spiral, whatever new spiral that is. And I can't say. I don't know how healthy that would be.
Rob, let's go to you. How do you feel?
So I did not read, of course, the column, but
oh shit.
Taking what you're saying though at face value, I really am a huge believer in life, in redemption and second chances for anybody. So if the guy thinks he can help out his friend, yes. Or he could check in to see if he's resolved things himself and maybe they can resume a normal friendship. But if he reaches out to him and nothing's changed and he has no availability to help, then again, you're literally putting yourself in harm's way. But I think, if somebody wants help and you can offer it, absolutely. That's the Christian way. That's just a good person thing to do. There's some of the most rewarding relationships I have in my life are from helping out people who otherwise had no options, and seeing them then, take the ball and run with it and relish the opportunity to have a second chance. So I think everybody deserves a second chance in life. And if you can actually help them, or if the guy's resolved his problems, then absolutely. But if you determine that that's not the case and he's unwilling, you got to cut ties permanently.
And Courtney, how did you feel? Did you think that this person should reach out to this troubled friend, or should he live his life?
Well, I feel like there's a lot of factors in there that play into it. For myself, the Gospel John says to love others as I have loved you. And I mean, that's something that I live by. I do have people that I was really good friends with who just spiraled, and they did some stuff that I could not condone in my life. And it was a lot of it when I came home and had a family of my own, had 2 children and a homestead to care for. And I gave them a second chance. And things were fine until they betrayed my trust again. And I just had to remove myself from the situation. And they have since reached out to me and they've apologized for the things that they've done. And I think that maybe if we were in the same place again, I would like have conversations with them. I would definitely be nice and respectful and make sure that they're doing okay. But that doesn't mean I have to invite them over for Thanksgiving dinner. Like, I don't have to do that. Like, the people that I know were on drugs. Like, I don't want you to inject my turkey with meth. I'm good. But I mean, I think that like reaching out and just like showing that you care and that like showing your true colors and like, hey, like, I understand that you're going through a lot and I totally like, I sympathize with you and I hope that you're doing good. And I hope that your life is going really good. And if you need anything, you know, you need to talk or like vent or whatever, you want to go grab like coffee or something like in a neutral situation, like, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I didn't get a chance to read the whole article either. And if it was something where the guy was put in a situation where it was a bad influence, I feel like if you are in a situation in your life to where you could be easily influenced by somebody who is doing stuff that does not properly suit the life that you've chosen for yourself, then I mean, then don't do it. But like for me, like somebody could walk in here freaking saying, let's go to the bar right now and let's go just do lines of cocaine off a stripper's ass. I'd be like, yeah, no. Like, I don't have to do that. Like, I don't want to. You do you. I would encourage you not to do that. But like, I'm strong enough to be like, I don't have to have that in my life. Like, you can come over here and we can have coffee, but I'm not going to do coke off a stripper's butt.
Okay, so right, that wasn't the story, but
I know
that's fine.
I was just making a scenario because I don't know what scenarios that they were put into where it was like a bad influence, but that would definitely be a bad influence if you wanted to do.
Yeah, I can see that, but I kind of see how I see where Robert came in. I believe in redemption. I definitely believe in that because I'll share a story about me because I brought this up because Dear Abby was like, absolutely not. And I'm like, that's kind of rude because I really believe that, you know, sometimes he had a troubled past, you know, we all know people who like that. And he was in the army as well. And sometimes people will come back with PTSD. And what he really needed was help. Dear Abby was like, she's like, no, you're not a therapist. You're not his psychologist, whatever. But I'm like, yeah, bitch, but that's his friend. And this is like years later, you know, he's asking, should he reach out? Now, I'll just go to me. Like a few years recently, I'm in counseling right now. Surprise, bitches, I'm not perfect.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Well, I'm in counseling and it's more about conflict resolution. You know what I mean? And it's honestly, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. But, you know, I have made some mistakes. I have, you know, I've gotten to fights with people before who hasn't, you know, especially when alcohol is involved or drugs or whatever. Now in the gay community, I don't know if I know this, but drugs is prevalent. But this is like 10 years later. Going through this, my own experience, I can firmly say that, you know what? People can change and redeem themselves because, you know, because mostly in the law, let's say if you're arrested for a DUI, they'll put you in a drug and alcohol course in order for you to learn more about, you know, what can happen if you do this so you won't be able to do this again or you won't make those same choices. So for me, I think he should definitely check in, you know, and if he still if he hears, you know, he's doing all this crazy stuff, recommend him to a psychologist or a therapist, or even just you can go to an AA meeting and not be an alcoholic and talk and get things off your chest. Because literally we've been doing counseling over Zoom. And literally now I'm at the point that I don't really get into conflicts anymore. You know, I know how to deal with them because you guys know how I am. I'm a Leo. You know, I get right into the drama, but you know, I know when to engage things. So, I mean, I think we have to start if we're gonna start living in a country that we believe in reform, allow that, but then go there with, you know, an open mind and an open heart, but don't be stupid. If he's still drinking, whatever or not, stay away from him. But I don't think if, like, let's say if Nikki started going on a deep end, I wouldn't abandon her. You know, I would definitely bake rack. I'll do whatever I can.
Yeah, but you don't know what happened between. That's my whole thing. Is I'm not saying don't check in, and I'm not saying abandon anyone, but you don't know what happened
right
between these two. So you don't. It might have been really, really bad for someone to cut off contact with someone. I just don't think like. I think this guy just has to take a lot of factors into consideration. Yeah, check in, absolutely. But I'm just saying, if this guy is all of a sudden all better and normal, and this was a really close friend, why hasn't he gotten in touch yet?
I mean, he cut off. Well, one, he cut off, but two, wait, what did you say again? I forgot what I was going to say. Damn it.
No, okay. My whole point is I'm not saying don't check in. I'm not saying be heartless and don't take care of your friends. I'm just saying that they obviously lost contact. He broke contact for a reason.
Well,
and
think about it.
All that easy for him to just be like out of the blue. You know, I don't know. For me,
think about it. Well, think about it. He felt this. He felt that much love for this person because friendships all involve love.
Check in, but going into it assuming that he's either 100% fine or going to respond to your ways to help him is like that's a lot of assuming to do. And yeah, I'm saying
yeah, but you'll never know if you don't do it though.
You snip then. I mean, that's and the argument that you're not a professional therapist, that you said is what dear Abby said. I think that's even better because people are much more. I mean, when somebody has an intervention, it's a bunch of friends saying, "Hey, we all think that your behavior is gotten out of control." And I think that people respond a lot better to those who aren't professionals because they feel they can open up. A lot of times, judgment free to those they trust. So I think anybody can make a change, and I don't want to get too much into it, but. A good friend of mine who's going to be on the show, I think, in the near future.
Yes.
From a very, very severe drug addiction for years and years and years. And once you have a substance abuse issue, you have a substance abuse issue for your entire life. And you just have to work with them. You know, I talk to them. I say, how are you doing, with the drugs, with the cravings, with the pain that caused your need to do them. And you're never going to be truly cured, but it's does somebody have the desire for change? Because if you don't have the desire and you have the problem, then I can't help you. But if you have a desire to change,
right,
I'm going to help you until I cannot help you any further. I'm going to do my damnedest to help out.
Right. I think we all agree because like we don't know if this guy does have the desire to change. Because like literally, like I said in my counseling Zoom classes, some of the guys are just sitting there watching fucking TV. Like you can't tell. Like what are those flashes of light on the wall? It's a TV. They're not even paying attention to like the skills or the stories everyone's sharing, I think he should, for me, I think he should definitely reach out just to check in, because honestly, the world can be a very, very lonely place. And if you don't have anybody, who are you going to turn to? I think, because you guys are my friends here, you guys are kind of my family. I tell you guys everything.
Sometimes a little too much.
But same, vice versa. But,
I know.
I just think I didn't like what Dear Abby said because I'm like, girl, you don't give up on family, though. I should have mentioned that. You don't give up on family. I'm not saying you stay around and get your ass whooped or, let him be a bad influence to you and your family, but at least reach out and see what's going on because this person, because sometimes I believe in the metaphysical world and this person came out of nowhere and typed out this whole thing, how he felt. Something in the world is telling him that maybe this person needs a friend. All right, guys. So we got to end the show because we're out of time. But I want to just thank everyone for watching with us. And also, I want to thank Robert Blackmon for joining us again as our guest co-host. It was very awesome. And we had a very good conversation. But as we leave, I just want to leave everyone with something. Like, I want everyone to find peace and happiness in their lives, whatever that is. Don't let people hold you back from something that you want to do. Like if you want to make a change in the world, if you want to try to go be a doctor, do it. Don't let people hold you back, but find that positive light in your heart. This is Common Courtesy. We'll see you next week. Bye.